In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Okay. All right. So is this on? Okay. So hello everyone. Welcome to another lecture. The title is Self-Induced Time Dilation of the Human Experience. I want to explain this, impress this series, and the fact that I'm trying to not just the idea into the cultural program. Um, okay, back to it. Sorry about that, folks. I mean, it might have just disconnected for you and reconnected, but there was a couple minutes here. I was just looking for something, and let's do this. So let's start from the beginning. All right. So, welcome everyone. Again, this is a very interesting episode. In this lecture, I'm going to explain to you what time dilation means, and I'm going to make an argument that the way human beings experience time is very different than how the internal experience of time and the external experience of time are different. Why? Because there are two different contextual atmospheres of being. Okay? So I'm that human being being like, no man, time dilation isn't just happening in in physics. It's happening anytime you're having fun. Time flies by when you're having fun. So it seems that time has to do with the nature of human attention of consciousness more than it does having being an external thing of its own. Okay, so the experience of time is one of those things, and I am Muslim. I do believe there's a system admin beyond this world room unfathomable to the human mind. And I do believe that the system administrative causal original power realm created this reality so that it doesn't make sense in one angle. The earth is a multi-angled brilliant manifestation. A brilliant manifestation is when its value is kinda to everything. Okay, the most incredible things I've witnessed in this life had an impact more than their existential domain, right? That means we human beings, we're not satisfied with just surviving and existing. You know, we feel we need to be involved and contribute to that which is bigger than us. Okay, now the most important question in life is, how big are you thinking? There are some people who are like, yo man, you know, I just want to live a comfortable, small, simple life. That's how big their reality is. The person wants to be a farmer, for example. Live as a farmer. Okay, and then there are some people who are like, nah man, I want to go into outer space, and in order to do that, I must cross the technological realms. It's about how big are you seeing it. I have realized that every person I've been talking to since 2014, like these poor souls, like I gotta apologize to everybody of how strange and maybe weird I've come across. Because if you understand it, you'll laugh. as a human being, think of it this way: you have a certain amount of energy for the day. Okay, whatever. Let's say you have a certain amount of energy. Okay, you have a package of energy, or you have some like 100% energy. Okay, throughout the day, right? To utilize. Now, what do you use it for? And this part's the unspoken, uncommon part, where most human beings, they're not using their attention to live in. Excuse me. They're not using. How do I say it? It's like from the moment you wake up, you're deciding how to pay attention to reality. This is the most important thing. They don't speak about it. I learned it. I don't know how. Okay, but I'm just telling you, I am someone who, perhaps if they chose me out of a group of 10 people, and they put me in some random simulation, I might be one of those beings who potentially can snap out of simulation very quickly. Why? Because I have an OCD when it comes to meaning. Okay, there's a compulsive, there's a force in me that whenever something becomes too meaningless, it's the same type of intensity in the inner realms as an animal becoming violent. Okay? Animals are not violent beings. When they are threatened, they become violent. Now, as a human being, when you pay attention to reality, you have access to two rooms. Just like the average, let's say the common businessman, you have your home and you have an office you go to. Do you understand? You have access to an office and you have access to your home, okay, where you live, your residence. So I'm trying to tell you, accessing physical reality is like your residence. Okay, you're living here as an existential being. But when it comes to mind and inner realms and human intelligence, that's like entering an office. Okay, and somebody could be like, yo man, that person's schizophrenic, crazy, and it's not due to their brain being damaged, right? Okay, and like let's say that's the case, okay, of something. I was just thinking of like, okay, let me apply this. Like, so think of it this way. Right now there's 8 billion different kinds of human beings. If you took two human beings and you put them in a room, they would drive each other crazy unless they renegotiate into a completely different being of the moment. Okay, see, one thing that many people don't say, and I'm just saying it because I've made it my, kind of like, it's part of, I don't know how to explain it, but like okay, think of it this way. I'm telling you, okay, as maybe they're like, who was Mr. Within? He was like that cool cousin of the species. you know, to be honest, being a cool cousin is. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. I gotta, like, there's something very important here, but it's so vast that I become humorous. Anytime you see me, like, go into silliness and humor, you should know that I've contacted such a deep idea. That's my natural, like, subjective defense mechanism. So what that means is if they're like, yo, man, if an alien appears out of nowhere and wants to attack you, what do you do? Do you know what I mean? And for me, it's not like with the ultimate force, I will crush this other force. For me, it's a matter of context shifting. There are some people who they change conceptually. We call them in modern society as unstable. They can't maintain themselves as a concept. Okay? But there's some people who they've maintained themselves as a concept for such a long time that now they are context shifters. Okay, now these people should have mercy on humanity, because they're like, what did the what could you tell the narcissist, okay, that could never hear it from anyone else, would never let himself be wrong? If you can't come into the terms with how there's an unknown factor to this world, you will have psychological instability. Simple as that. Except that we're a bunch of human organisms acting like we got our shit together. You know? Like it's a massive theater performance that the theater has been preferred more. Do you know what it is? Human civilization is equivalent to like there was a theater performance and instead the audience entered the story of the theater. That means we were people watching a cinema film, and little did we know we are becoming actors in that film. This is how language evolved in the mind of man, by the way. So anyways, time dilation is a very key factor here. I'm going to first give you an academic and online like definition of time dilation, okay? I keep forgetting there's like it's like I'm walking in a world, but there's a more important world to walk in behind my eyes, and I got to shift my attention. Anyways, guys, so time dilation, this is the definition. So what the way I approached, like I don't like the idea of a teacher. I think we're all explorers here. But anyways, if I was in the archetype of a teacher, I'm like, yo, kiddo, this is how I teach. You got to understand what they said about it in the past, what it is now, and in some sense, how far it can go in the future. Three things you got to do, and you're a smart kid. If you don't do these three things, you're not a smart kid, because it's being smart is about for a like what if everything was like wrong? Like you don't understand. You're listening to a human being that reached states of paying attention to reality that I don't want to say like this is something very unspoken, uncommon. Before divinity, there is liminality. A divine divinity is like it's like a rare moment, but with truth backing it up. A liminal moment, liminality, is just a rare moment. Okay, and I'm this human being who there's ways I've looked at this earth, and if you tell me, like, have you heard of the term, like, you've probably seen it, like, at forbidden scrolls, forbidden libraries, restricted information, classified information, like, you've 100%, like, seen this, right? Now, I'm trying to tell you, it's not just for books and scrolls, right? And computer files, though there are so many ways to look at reality. And is it? Did they say when the Wright brothers were like, you know, planet Earth and laughs, let's accept. But if you ask an older person, a senior person, you're going to see knowledge is what people were trying to tell us about what they were. Okay, okay. Hopefully we're back. Okay, sorry about that. Anyways, I don't know. Hopefully it won't disconnect anymore. There were some apps open on the phone. Anyways, folks, guys, I'm saying something very important here. I don't know how to say it off. I'm just going to share. It's okay to accept what you see as reality, but when you get older, if you don't realize there's depth to it, like if you ask a child what's an ocean, but I've been alive on the planet around 12,000 days. They're like, yo, man, what certifies you to talk about the human experience? I'm like, 12,000 days. Do you know what that means? That means 12,000 senses of myself alongside all the ideology they had on those days. The so complex that it can actually that are what you would call what they would talk about in dehumanization studies. Okay, so when you look at dehumanization studies, you have to also look at humanization studies, which is another way of saying how is the human being human. Okay, guys, I think I drove to a coffee shop, so I could use the Wi-Fi, and right now it's better. Okay, so I don't think there's going to be any connectivity issues. It was kind of like the Wi-Fi connectivity was like filtering, editing the talk. But anyways, I'm just gonna go with where my attention's at and how the lecture goes. Okay. So I'm this human being, okay, in the middle of human history in 2025, who has found access to a microphone, was found access to a microphone, and on some deep level feel like I can, like an archer, shoot an arrow. Do you understand? Like, it's kind of like, as it, see, they're like, what do you want to do on this planet? As a soul, I just want to advance. Advancement is what the soldier, commander, and the general have in common. I was telling you that if you ask a kid, where are you? And the kid says Earth, that's okay. But if you ask, like a senior person, that where are you? And they say I'm on Earth, again, like the depth of how that's a mistake in life is that the body's life is survival and comfort of survival. The mind's life is not just survival. Your body, your mind, what we call survival is you as an intelligent being looking at your body and identifying it with it to such a degree that you have to maintain it. Okay? Now, I'm saying if you look at how human beings are living on the planet, and perhaps this is what is meant to happen now, not perhaps, this is how we're supposed to be living. You know, sometimes you wonder what's the point of eras of and generations of human beings living in ignorance. Yeah, so there will be generations of clarity. There is no greater gift that can be given. If you, for example, if you ask me, hey, where are you? Like, where is this? What is this place? Where are you standing right now? That question, I have to ask myself, to what degree of contextual depth can meaning arise to something? Most people are like living like the surface of the ocean, but you can live like the depths of the ocean here. In the sense of like you discover the depths of reality. That means it's physical beings making decisions so they can make better decisions in the future. That's it. That's the game. The value of your decisions is in regards to what it contributes to your future. That means we consider past, present, future, right? This trio of time. You look at a squirrel's life, for example, right? Its future is dictated by its environment and its will to continue in that environment. We human beings have an ability to snap out of the conditions of the environment, wonder about probabilities to reality, contrast those probabilities infinitely. That means if you really look at how human intelligence is functioning, and if you really look at how external reality is telling the story, they're very different. That means humans are living a physical life for just a physical outcome. And guys, that's like you're missing 50% of reality, which is the whole what is meaning part. When I say self-induced time dilation, I mean that, yo, Einstein, we got it, bro. Do you know you move faster the speed of light? Do you understand? Things slow down. The experience for someone on a train is very different than the experience someone watching a train. And someone from inside the train watching outside of the train. Right? So I'm saying they came and said, yo, there's time dilation in existence, yo. I'm like, thanks, Einstein. And now I'm looking at reality. I'm like, wait a minute, there's also time dilation in experience. It's not just we're dealing with existential realities as beings, we're dealing with how we are experiencing these existential realities. And reality is so hilarious because at some point, I'll never forget it. This was my biggest philosopher, fingers on my chin philosopher moment staring at an edgeless sky, you know? It's where I just was like, wait a minute. If I right now went and asked any human being what's going on here, the story will be limited. Their answer will be limited. So another human being can give you guidance, but because they appear to you as an external limited being, so I'm pretty much saying it's this riddle. It's like reality is like a riddle, right? And the riddle of it is, hey, you've opened your eyes in a physical temporary place. What? And then you're like, what are you gonna do? And because you have this mind, you cannot ignore the values you see. The human brain is very complex, and as an unknown being, to consider like you don't understand. To be human is a luxury. Being human is a luxury. The future generations will look at us and they will be like, these were the richest people on earth. They will look at us and think we were the richest people on earth. I'm telling you, right? And we're gonna be like, why? There was such poverty in the world. How could they say that? And they're like, because we were naturally being human. Reality is like you appear somewhere, you don't know what it is, you don't know what you are, then you uncover it as you make decisions. To me, it's kind of like, I gave a lecture on it before where I was like, oh my God. I have, as a human being, been like, what's the greatest strategy to live on Earth? What's the greatest strategy for a soul that has appeared in the middle of nowhere? And then realizes it's not the middle of nowhere, that it's actually an intelligent sector of a higher being's command. Like, to be here on Earth means being human was like as that was the same feeling, would be like the same feeling of, wow, when we were kids it was so easy. Do you know, it would be the same nostalgia for the future generations, how we're being human now. Do you know? And it's that moment where, for example, you know, like, let's use, okay, no, I should use a better example. I wanted to talk about like the cards that life deals you as a soul. And I don't know how to say this, but I just want everybody to know that you can freak out on this planet, but on some level, we don't know what we're freaking out about. So there's no point to freak out. You know, we as the human species are a position in existence. And I was saying that there's existential realities like what you find in front of your eyes and your body, and there's experiential realities, which is when you go and sleep and your mind has a dream, and in that dream you're a meaningful self. So we are not just a physical existential entity, we are also simultaneously, just for now we're saying this structure, we are simultaneously a psychological experiential entity. Now people are going to be like, what does the word psychological mean in this context? I mean, it's like realizing, I think this is when you've kind of, you know, reached a sort of mountaintop of, I guess, maturity, right? When you're like, oh my God, none of them know, and everybody we have ever seen on this planet has been a startled soul. because nobody knows. And it's like it's like for me, I'm just like, yo, man, can you blame them? They're like, yo, society's a simulation. I'm like, you can't blame the creators. Do you know? Because they opened their eyes in a world without any tools, and they were like, what is this? And their response, that means if it's like realizing. Okay. Guys, make a prayer for the greatness of the world. Bless the world. May God protect us all from other than ourselves. These are rare moments. Back in the day, this sound was equivalent to like the alarms of the kingdom being like that you're hearing like the bells of a kingdom, medieval kingdom. I was trying to get to this point that to be human is a luxury. I firmly believe this. Why? Because when you look at all the other species on the planet, their ability to notice things is nothing compared to the most foolish human being even. That means if they were like, yo man, let's say there were human beings making efficient decisions and inefficient decisions, and a fool is someone whose ratio of decisions is inefficient decisions or more than efficient decisions, right? So if suddenly, like I'm saying, like the most fool, it's like the bottom of the human system is the top of any other species system on the planet, is higher. So we have to correctly contextualize ourselves and understand, like we don't need like Uncle Ben telling us like Spider-Man, you know, like with great power comes great responsibility, but with great awareness of a species to reality has to come eras of stewardship. That means not only the human species will stop eating animals because it has found smarter nutritional solutions, do you know? But it will in some sense become a steward of how there's life force moving in a physical landscape. Do you understand the honor of humanity? And they're like, yo man, how did you unite the species? And I'm like, I asked them, wonder about what you are. You realize you're a force. This force has a conceptual angle and a contextual angle. The contextual backstory to every human being's life is the future of the species. And the future of the species, it's like endless probabilities we can imagine, but it's honestly, who doesn't want to see the most advanced human civilization and the most advanced humanity? And to me, I'm like, okay, the fastest way to an advanced humanity would be to assume that billion advanced beings, but these beings are being irresponsible for how advanced they can be. And they have in some sense the comforts of a looping life, do you know, has in some sense satisfied the will to wonder about what else is not being seen to even be said. Do you know, the greatest thing I've learned from any lecture I've heard in this life was everything they didn't say, but they pointed to. The human being is an advanced thing that's happening. It's mysterious and weird, and what we call normality is the collective majority consensus of what behaviorology is okay. But in actuality, it's like they're like, yo man, we believe in a democracy. And okay, but what does that mean? And they're like, okay, majority wins. Okay, so majority is not everyone. They're like, okay, yeah, but it can't be everyone. Do you know? Right? So who decides for everyone? Does everyone decide for themselves? Okay, or is there representatives that are deciding for them? And when you look at what society is, it is this marvelous. It's like traveling, like you know how in some video games you have to travel and you find this town in the video game that the designers like put attention and money into, you know? Right? So it's like the same awe of discovering a system. To me, everything in front of my eyes is not me. Also, if I were to close my eyes, the awareness to every thought I've ever had is also like the is the me is beyond the idea of me. So I'm at this point trying to say, not only is there a sort of self-induced time dilation going on in the sense that what time is how matter changed in space and what sort of conscious receiver saw it. Do you know? So we are in some sense souls. What can I say? It's like not only you could look at this world and see so many ways of meaning to it, you have to then wonder which path of meaning shall your external life be driven by, be guided by. So it's like not only do we want to know like what's going on, we also know what's the best way to function in what we know. Time dilation, I'm saying there's the physical view on it and a non-physical view. The non-physical view on time dilation is like time is something that it's like more time is like the best explanation of time, that it's a certain state of human consciousness to reality. More than time being something, time is like a way we're looking at something. Okay? And in some ways we forget about time. Like when we're in deep sleep state, there is no time there. Do you know, when we are unconscious, there is no character in a story of a third perspective viewing power. And on some level, you kind of look at the world and you look at all the senior citizens and like, man, you have to make life comfortable for them, right? And then you look at all the youth and they're like, oh man, we gotta take off the blindfold of the cultural programming that makes the individual think. Like these souls, let me tell you, sometimes there's this notion of like alpha archetypes and beta archetypes in human civilization. And some of the alpha archetypes in human civilization think they're being alpha by pushing people into worshiping themselves over time. Do you know? And what I mean by this is that there is no alpha beta. There's like 8 billion beings in a room. What is their awareness to reality? What can happen with their awareness to reality? And the human mind is such that there's time dilation where, you thought you were sleeping for 5 minutes, but it was like 5 hours. I mean, that's not possible, probably. But like, maybe it's possible. What I'm saying, like, what I'm trying to tell you is like, time dilation is there not because subjectively it's there, because we position it. Like if I tell you, remember what you ate yesterday, that means your human brain today simulated and gained access to what you did yesterday. So that's not like a being that's living in accordance to two senses of self. So if we are honest, if we as human beings are using memory and we're using imagination, we can't just define humanity based on what's physically here, based on the present. That means it's like the mind is living with an ability to access the body and the soul. How far can our attention go? It's self-induced because the preference it's like it's like humanity's designed to function in accordance to two layers of you, like acknowledging somebody as a body and mind is normal, but acknowledging the soul is like, okay, that's personal, right? So the mind and body are in the public domain, so human beings are right now being acknowledged as beings that have bodies and minds. In ancient times, they 100% acknowledged they had souls, and it was the other way around. That means it's hilarious the current way consciousness has found itself. But like, it's a reverse of, I could see it's the opposite. But anyways, I'm trying to say that time and any concept and any idea is based on the attention of the person. And so it's really in accordance to that. So anyways, guys, there's more to this. This might be considered as a part one. I might give a part two, or I might not. But anyways, I hope the lecture was helpful. Thank you for listening.